The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
There is nobody that holds a candle to the king.
You know, I wouldn't be opposed to, maybe you build some tag teams here.
We are the absolute best tag team of all time, bar none, the greatest tag team of all time.
Jay White's going to be a star, no matter where he goes.
I'm going to be the guy that spits in the face of cliches. I'm going to be the guy that tells time to off.
Man, what in the world is Joe doing? Just standing. And then I thought to myself, maybe he just likes Jericho's music as much as I do.
Wow, getting the opportunity to team with Team Extreme. Two guys that I've admired for many years. Honored to be your partners tonight, and looking forward to working with you guys again in the future.
It truly was. The pleasure was all ours, man. Thank you. You're a great partner. If there was a six-man tag team title, we would go get it. The LA crowd was absolutely delightful. And Sheamus, Cesaro, we showed you tonight. The next time we get you in a tag team title match, we are going to delete your tag team title reign.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling to the Max, episode 253, part 1. And we, of course, are brought to you by W2Mnet.com as well as 411mania.com. We are also on every place you can find podcasts pretty much. And, hey, the best way to go find us and subscribe is at Wrestling to the Max. Or if you love everyone over that W2Mnet.com family, go ahead and find us at the W2M Network. That's right. That's the one place you can go subscribe and get not just us, but everything else that we have to offer. And trust me, that's lots of wrestling. That's also a lot of other great content like sports, entertainment, and just a lot of fun. Of course, I want to let you guys also know, if you don't know this already, and I'm sure a lot of you do, you can find us on YouTube. Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. But that's another platform that we allow, guys and gals to go find us, and we hope that you do go check that out if you are, maybe, wanting to find another way to find us. I am Gary Vaughan. Of course, with me is Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
There you go. He's off mute.
Yeah.
It's hard, I know. You're producing the show, and you're like, wait, hold it. Did I click that? No.
Well, I was finishing eating my sandwich while the intro was going on. I was like, oh, please, have a longer intro today. And as soon as I finished the last fight, it was like, oh, you get to me, and oh, whoops, there goes the mute button is on.
Oh, I could have I should have put in the whole Ms. TV segment. That would have taken up a lot of time.
Oh, my God. You know what? The best part of that was the bar ball running. That was the biggest joke of them all right there. Like, seriously, if I was Lonzo Ball watching my dad run like that, I don't know, man. I don't know how I could come out with it.
Yeah, I know. I feel for Lonzo Ball. His family seems a little bit wacko, but I think that
I can't wait till all the veterans on that team go, you're the star of the team, and you haven't played yet? What the? Oh, come on.
I can't wait till he walks in the locker room and they're all staring at him and he goes, what? My daddy says I'm the star. You guys better listen. So we'll find out if that's going to work for him. I know it didn't work for, some of the guys that were in wrestling, I don't think Randy Orton walked in the locker room and expected everybody to hand him things. He probably expected a little bit of love, but, But anyway, well, I'm going to get away from Alonzo Ball in that awful Miz TV segment. If you didn't know that, we've already discussed this. We discussed this on Monday night. We talked about this on our Monday Night Raw review, Paul and I, and also Harry Broadhurst joined us this Monday night. We all got into that and talked a lot about the controversy. The segment sucked. We didn't really care about the segment. It was more about the controversy. And, of course, also, since I'm talking about reviews, don't forget to go check out the SmackDown Live review as well in 205 Live that Sean and Paul just knocked out. Those guys did an excellent job on that. So, trust me, we do some great review shows. We hope you go check them out. But yeah, guys, I mean, before we talk wrestling, I want to throw this out there. Lots of TV is going on, and it's the summertime, and I know everybody's out doing their own thing, and usually that's not the time we're talking TV. You would think fall or maybe even some spring action. What's great, though, is that now they offer some great television, especially when you got Netflix going on. You've got plenty of stuff to watch even in the summertime. I know one thing that I'm tied into right now is Preacher. I'm so happy the second season is back. I thoroughly enjoyed the first 2 episodes of this season. So, guys, that was something I was tied to. I know, Sean, you had told me that you were going to check out those episodes.
Yeah, I am caught up until the last 30 minutes of the episode from today. So, yeah, I love this show. Like you said, if my mom came in the room, she'd be pretty pissed because it's rather sacrilegious.
Yes.
But that's what's great about it, is that it turns everything upside down and just the visual of one of the new episodes of the angel now is a magician because he knows he can kill himself. It's just, oh my God, it's so great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. And you know what? The funny thing about this whole show, and I'm just talking, we're not talking Preacher tonight. I just want to mention this really quickly. Sean and I actually lived with a guy that reminds me, still watching Preacher, of the vampire, right? I mean,
yeah.
I still think our friend Kevin that we used to live with, that's him, basically. It's so funny that I actually got to live with a guy just like him. So it's nuts. But and Paul, anything you're watching right now? Anything that you're checking out that you're enjoying?
I'm trying to finish up all these Netflix shows I've started. So I still need to finish Glow. I'm almost done with the new season of The Ranch. I still have to finish. There's a new comedy special that just came out. So trying to balance that and everything else I'm trying to keep up with is just. Being a fan of television is hard today. I don't feel like it used to be this hard.
No, it wasn't, because they throw so much at you now. It's not like the old days when we were growing up as kids, where if you didn't catch it and you didn't tape it, then you're just out of luck. Sorry, good luck. Now it's like, hey, you missed this episode. You have 15 other ways to find it. And then all the other 1,000 things we're going to throw at you. So... yeah, it's tough. It really is. What about The Ranch? Really quickly, a friend of mine has been begging me to watch that.
So if anybody out there is a fan of that 70s show, which I know a lot of people were, the show was made by David Masterson, and he pretty much brought back most of the people from that show to create a Southern comedy that takes place on a ranch that stars Sam Elliott, who is a miserable old man, and Ashton Kutcher and David Masterson are his sons, and they're kind of all screw ups, and it's really, really funny. If you're from the South, you'll feel right at home. If you're from the North, it's what you imagine the South to be already. So
enjoy the stereotype, right?
It's a stereotype, but it's really, really funny. It's Sam Elliott's awesome. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to check it out sometime. I keep hearing that they are trying to bring everybody from the 70s show, and Topher Grace is the one that I'm like, where did he go? Did he die? Is he alive? I don't know. We'll figure that out maybe in the future. Maybe we can get, the fashion police on that case. Where's Topher Grace?
They're so busy trying to figure out who attacked Tyler Breeze.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Come on, Eileen. Come on.
Exactly.
I love that. I'm sorry, on SmackDown, that was perfect. Great stuff out of those guys. I'm just loving SmackDown because of the fashion police alone. But, what's cool is we will be talking Glow. So, guys, trust me, we're going to get into that Thursday. Paul and I are still trying to catch up. Sean, I think you're done with the show.
Yes.
So, I mean, we will give you guys kind of our review and kind of tell you what we thought about it on Thursday. So be looking forward to that. But now it's time to talk wrestling. That's right. We're going to dive in now and get into some quick hits. So we will be right back with that right after this, guys.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right.
All right. Well, let's start out by talking about a little bit of legal stuff. And no, I'm not talking about Billy Corgan. We're not talking about that. And no, we're not talking about Sonny. Okay, so we can put that aside.
Oh, God.
Your, lucky horses, we're not talking about those. But let's talk about another legal situation between Vince Russo and Jim Cornette. And we have not had a chance to talk about this. It's kind of a little bit of old news. I know if you've of course, read all the internet stuff. You're like, guys, this is old, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it on the show. I want to quickly kind of go through it, just really, fast. Vince Russo apparently felt threatened. Says his family felt threatened as well, and that he's been stalked and all this stuff. And so he felt it was more appropriate for him to go ahead and put a restraining order out there against Jim Cornette, who, has honestly and very blatantly threatened Vince Russo in ways, not actually saying I'm going to come to your house and beat you up, but saying I would love to meet you in a dark alley. I'll put money in. Let's do this. No cops, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what to think about it. For me personally, it's all silly. These guys are way too old to act like this, if you ask me. But hey, what do you expect out of these two guys who are a little bit more colorful than I think most people their age? I don't know, Sean. I mean, is this too weird, or what do you think about it?
Yeah, this is, look, these guys have been feuding forever, right? Like, it's almost like a comedy routine at this point. Just, like, look, Cornette threatened him or whatever, threatened his family, or so he feels like I think this is even a petition. Like, the thing that was out there wasn't really seriously a, like, court order kind of restraining order or whatever. It's just, but the fact that we're even going to this length between these two is just, gosh, like, Lord, both of them are just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on this. It's funny because I think Jim Cornette has offered to make copies and sign it and ship it to people for money. So, that's weird. That's about all I got.
Tells you how much he really cares.
Paul is just not into this one. That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to be into this story. I mean, really what interests me is the fact that Sean, you just alluded to, this has been going on forever, and it's been a feud that has been just stewing and stewing and stewing. These guys are on completely different ventures in their life. They're doing their own podcast like everybody else that has come out of the wrestling world. I heard J.J. Dillon just came out with a podcast himself. So I'm like, man, everybody's getting one out of the world of wrestling. And, these guys are just kind of doing their own thing, but yet they still got to keep talking about it. They still got to keep feuding. I think a lot of this has to do with publicity, too. I think Jim Cornette is not an idiot. He's done this business forever. He knows controversy sells. That's why him and Eric Bischoff got along in that table for three we saw not too long ago. Their hate for Vince Russo, but they also know controversy means that, hey, people are looking at me, they're paying attention, so I can sell them stuff now. And I think Vince Russo, to an extent, tries to keep that going, but he's a little bit more of an oddball. And I think he sells from a different point of view, and also people going to get his information and wanting to follow him have a little bit more of a quirky sense of humor and want to follow a guy like that. So it's silly. It's crazy. I just thought it was something we should bring up here because it is something that's been going on and we haven't touched base on it, but it's just silly. Let's just be honest. It's silly. And if anything ever comes out of this, I mean, I think that's a real news story because that means Jim Cornette actually showed up at Vince Russo's house, or he actually saw him at the restaurant and jumped over the table and grabbed the guy. So
heck, that's breaking news if that happens. Like, let's have a bulletin and everything. Well,
heck yeah, I'd love to see it. I'm sorry, honestly, I would like to see this happen, just because these are older guys. I mean, these are not young guys, so it would be fun. We'll step away from those two guys, and we'll let them have their little feud and have fun. Let's talk about the Mae Young Classic really quickly here. I think the Mae Young Classic has definitely been a big theme of our Quick Hits, and something we've talked a lot about, but we do have some new information for you guys, and some important information. Apparently, we have our announced team for this Mae Young Classic, and that includes Jim Ross and Lita. They are confirmed to be your announcers for this tournament. I think, Paul, I like it. I think these are two great additions to what the Mae Young Classic has to offer.
We all know what Jim Ross brings to the table, right? He's going to bring a great voice and his great stabilizing force to somebody they're taking a chance on here, and that's Lita. And I get it, right? You want to have as many women around this as possible, really show off that you're all in on this women's revolution thing, and that's great. And I like Lita a lot. I just don't know how great a commentator she is. She's rather stiff on the pre-show still to me. So maybe just not having a camera on her while she's talking will be helpful, although she wanted to act, so I can't imagine this was, not, it can't be that difficult for her. So I'm interested. I don't know how well she's going to do, but she's got a great fallback person in Jim Ross to help her out.
Yeah, I agree. Just hopefully, the thing is with JR's, again, like I mentioned before, when he had Nigel with him, who's in the product, he's doing NXT every week, he can kind of pick up JR sometimes when, JR's having those moments where he's having to think, or, because he's on the older side now. So, will Lita be able to do the same thing when, just like Paul said, she's very stiff on the pre-show, and, sometimes seems really forced what she's doing. Maybe she'll be really enthusiastic and be much more into it, because she's watched this women's tournament, and it is a big difference to try to talk and have a camera on you and having to look at the camera and whatever than it is to just talk. And they're going to tell you when the camera's going to look at you, and the rest of the time it's not. So, maybe, Paul said it, and maybe that helps her.
Yeah, I think so. I think you both are right on that. And, let's be honest, her skill set really is geared to what's going on in the ring. And when you're just talking about the build-up to the match and, they can do this and they can do that, it's a lot of speculation. It's a lot of back and forth, trying to think through things. She doesn't have to think. She just has to watch and react when she's doing this tournament. So that's a positive. Not only that, she's a great person to have here because she has so much feedback to give us when it comes to what's going on, and especially from a woman's point of view on what she's thinking and the things that she has had in her experience and all that, that kind of helps this process. And I think it'll be a good team. I don't know if it's going to be a smooth transition right away. I think as the tournament goes on, I think they're going to get better. It's probably going to be a kind of a rocky start at the beginning because, we all know Jim Ross is older, like Sean talked about, and, he needs a good color person beside him, maybe someone that kind of helps him out a little bit. And I don't know that Lita is perfect at that, but I think she is a good addition, and especially with her experience. So I'm very happy with that. I think our announced team is pretty solid. I hope it does turn out as well as I want it to be. The one thing that we do know now also is that we have the dates of the beginning of this tournament on August 28th and on September 4th. You are going to get 4 episodes on both those dates that will be right on demand on the WWE Network, so you'll be able to get to check out the women's tournament. You'll get a chance to really kind of follow it and not have to wait a week between each match, or each show, excuse me. That's positive. On September 12th, though, they will start the live shows for the tournament. So that gives you that perspective and also gives you a little bit more excitement because you have some live action taking place on the network that you'll be able to check out. I think these are some smart ideas here for them because of the fact, guys, I look at this and people can kind of binge it, right? I mean, that's what we're all about now. We just talked about Netflix for 10 minutes on the beginning of this show. And I think the network's the same thing. Binging is kind of a normal thing now, and I think people will do that with the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's sort of give and take. I kind of preferred the way they did the CWC, where it was weekly releases on Wednesdays that went right along with NXT to create a nice little block. Now it's 4 episodes released on demand on Monday, and then you have a week to get through them before the next set, and then you have a week and a day, essentially, before you have the live special for the last couple of matches. So I don't know how I feel about this yet, but I'm still just excited to watch this thing. I mean, it sucks we have to wait a month before we even get to watch it, but...
Yeah, it's weird because this kind of goes into this is a network thing. I think that the CWC was done the way it was done because it was the first one, and it was always meant to be a TV show afterwards. Whereas, WWE UK thing, that was said in the interviews, but they did it in a 2-day thing on the network. This feels like they just don't think that this is going to draw like that weekly. It may also be a way to keep people from having to feel like, oh, this is another thing we have to watch. But I just feel like, again, if you're going to make people feel like this is the men are equal to the women, why are they not getting a stellar spot every week, once a week? Here we go. All women's show, all women's matches. Perhaps it is to make people not even think of having an idea of let's have an all women's show on the network, because they may not want to do that. But it just, I don't know. I'd much rather it just go through maybe this is the old person in me that with wrestling, I still don't feel like you need to treat it like a Netflix show, in that it's fine for Glow to come out with all 10 episodes and I can binge watch them whenever I want, but I still feel like, and you could do that with you want to do that with a pack of old, shows on the network or whatever that aren't in, current circulation, go ahead. But I feel like with this being something that you're watching and you're really wanting to know all these people and getting to have a week to digest what you just watched, and then going into the next week, let's see what happens. I guess you can still watch it that way if you want to, but it's just, I don't know. It feels like you're being shortchanged a little bit. I get it, this is the new era, and people want binge, want to be able to watch things all at once or whatever, but just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more about convenience too, and I think you can binge watch it. You can take your time and watch an episode a night. You can watch half an episode and just go maybe 2 matches in one part of your life and another 4, and then all. I think that's what it's really about, and it's because people are always on the go, and people are watching things on their tablet and airplanes, in the car, at the grocery store sometimes, and so that's what's interesting here is the fact that I think that they're kind of going off that whole process of, if we release 4, you guys can have it. If you want to watch it in a binge, if you want to watch it in separate forms, however you want to watch it, it's there. We want you to know it's there. We can promote it, and it's not just one episode where we promote it. You got an hour of content, and then we got to spend our entire time again promoting the next one. They can promote it, and people can either get into it or not. And I think that's what the goal here is. And not only that, it also gives them an opportunity to get to this tournament quicker than they would have. And I think that's also a big part of this process, because they don't feel like they have that time available to kind of make this and stretched out and really keep people's attention. I think that's another thing about here we're not maybe thinking about is people's attention spans aren't so long anymore, and they want to get to the end. And I think that's part of it.
Well, do they want to get to the end because they think the women cannot draw as well as the men?
I think you're right on that. I really do. I think, and not only that, this is kind of a test, don't you think? Just like the cruiserweights were a test. They wanted to do that, but I think they were really testing it out, and I think it had some success. I'm not going to say it was game busters, but I think that they noticed people were paying attention to the Cruiserweight Classic, and I think that's what they're doing here. They want to see how many people download this, how many people are watching, or is this a waste of their time next year? If they are they going to do this again or never again? I don't know. I don't know, Paul. Do you think it is kind of a test market kind of situation too?
I think so. I mean, they're taking a chance here on not even women that they know on the main roster that people are into, but on unknowns and NXTers that haven't really proven themselves on their stage, right? Like they either have a lot of buzz around them from the independent scene, or there's something that the WWE likes about them that they see in the Performance Center every week, or however they went about choosing these people. Now you're asking these people to try to draw on a demographic that maybe they haven't had a lot of exposure to, and they're counting on hardcores to try to see this through and get some casuals to try to jump in on this too. So I think they're taking a chance. It's just like the CWC was a chance too, right? And that just happened to go really well.
Yeah, it did, and that's my thing here is they're just wanting to know what you're going to do, how you're going to perceive it. Are you going to get enough people watching this where you're going to say, oh, wow, we did something here that makes sense. Maybe we should focus on them. Maybe we should give them their own show. Maybe we shouldn't give them their own show, but maybe we should make them more of a presence on NXT. Things like that. I think that's some, just really they're trying to kind of play in the field and see what they can get out of it.
Well, I mean, you'd have to make NXT longer in order to do that because they only got an hour.
Yeah, and which I don't know. Harry brought that up to us. Would you like to see an NXT 2-hour show every week? And I'm not sold on that, though.
I don't know. Think about that. Another 2-hour show that we're then reviewing on.
Yeah.
So we also have to think about for us how we're going to review that. Maybe 2 episodes every regular episode or, whatever. But
yeah,
just... it's there's pros and cons to each part of this, right? It's just how is this perceived? Will people sit there and binge watch it? Will people sit there and not? I wonder too if it's also because this is all being taped in a 2-day period that they feel like, well, if we don't do it like this, there's a chance that. Well, this is all going to get out. The spoilers are going to be there. We're not doing this they're not even doing this in a very timely manner, right? They're taping these in July, and then we're not even getting them until a month and a half later.
Right.
So spoilers are going to be out there if you want, and they may feel like, well, if we do this weekly, everybody's already going to know. Might as well just throw out the first bunch, the second bunch, and then you get the live special that nobody will know the results to.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There's a lot involved here, and I think that's what makes this really interesting, especially from somebody who is really interested in watching it and seeing all this new talent. I'm really, really curious, and I think a lot of other people that really follow wrestling closely are too. So that's what's going to be fun. Let's see how it all works out. The one thing we do know right now is we will be missing, I think for a fact, one of the superstars that I thought would be a part of that, and that is Io Shirai. We all really kind of figured coming in, probably one of those, Mae Young Classic contestants, and that's not going to be the case for her because of the fact that she has a neck injury that WB has found by doing some of the medical tests. And this could be a big bummer for her because apparently this could be kind of like a Shelton Benjamin situation where she can be on the shelf for quite a while. That's not really great news, Sean.
No, it's not. I mean, that's always a bummer for somebody such high caliber as Io Shirai. And also, because I'm sure bringing her and Kyrie in together would have been great for them, great for those two women just having each other there, and then she's hurt and not going to be able to show what she can do for a while. And they've discovered this while she's not signed, like Shelton Benjamin. So does this mean that she kind of just lays low and doesn't do anything until she heals and then WWE still offers a contract? Do they now become uninterested? They're still sort of, this is not like Shelton where they feel like, oh, well, we didn't really need him anymore, so that's why you just didn't hear about him anymore. I think this is more of a, well, let's see how she heals, how she comes back, and then she'll be there when she's ready.
Shelton Benjamin's situation turned out the way it did because he needed surgery and he was going to be out for a long period of time and all this stuff. And I don't know if we know the severity of Io Shirai's neck injury, but she's still been working Stardom dates, so it's either not so serious that it needs surgery, or it's something that she can work with and maybe you can work past it without having to get surgery. And if you watch Stardom and Io Shirai and her matches, which are all phenomenal, and you watch the bump she takes, it's not surprising she has a neck injury. I'm sure 85% of the people who wrestle in Japan have a neck injury. Like, it's just... I mean,
he's not lying.
It's a different standard over there, you know? So, I wager it can't be overly serious. Now, if it is, obviously this sucks, and maybe I'm just trying to downplay it to make myself feel better because I really want her to be here, but... I have to think that it can't be so critical that, you know, it's going to cost her the contract, you know?
Right, you just don't like, as an employer with somebody coming in, you just don't like finding that kind of thing out. It's a bit scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and WWE has really followed their P's and Q's when it comes to signing talent, protecting themselves legally. And that's a big part of this process as well. As no matter, to be honest, I think, you know, if 6 doctors could tell them, "Oh, it's fine," you know, it's just something that she's going to work through. It'll be fine. And one doctor could say, "Well, I don't know. I would consider surgery," and WB would be like, "Nope, you're on the shelf for 6 months. Sorry, we're not signing you for another 6 months until we can get that 7th doctor to say that you are great." And it's just the way things work, and especially for the fact that now with all these other settlements and the lawsuits because of, you know, former wrestlers and former athletes suing their promotions and the teams and the leagues, they've got to be very careful. So that's another thing that kind of works against Io Shirai, I think. I hope not. I hope that this all comes to be something we're blowing way out of proportion, but, you know, we'll see. And now we've seen another guy go to this and actually have a very severe injury, and it be something that has honestly kind of taken wrestling away from him, but not really taking him out of wrestling, and that is Tyson Kidd. Yeah, no, we haven't heard that name in a long time, right? Well, he is not going to be in-ring wrestling in WWE, but he will still be around WWE. Apparently, WWE has plans for him. They're still trying to figure out what they want to exactly do, but they do want to use him in some form or fashion, as well as they've already talked about, and he has let everyone know that he will be a part of Total Divas next season. So that's another guy, you know, big neck injury, something that really, honestly, he was just this close. When I mean this close, my fingers are very short between each other to being gone from walking around, doing anything in life. And I mean, I know that's why WWE hasn't put him back in the ring, but I mean, at least he's got something going, Paul. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, the injury he took was supposed to kill him. He should not be walking around on this earth anymore. He should not be breathing. But here he is, and he's walking, and he's enough, you know, to still keep on plugging along. So that's great for him. You'd be missing out a lot not using him as like a trainer or a producer or something along those lines. But it's just great that they want to keep him around. I think that really speaks to at least how highly they did think of him.
Yeah, certainly. It's very unfortunate that looks like he's not going to make a comeback to the ring. At least he's accepting this role, it seems like, and that they're going to give him this job. And it's a role that works for him really well. I mean, he's obviously a great wrestler. He has so much to teach guys, and it still really sucks because he was really starting to come into his own as a character finally, after having so many years of just being there, and that's one of those things that sucks. But at least we'll see him on Total Divas again after they just blackballed him for like 2 years because they were so scared he'd say something about the injury.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're giving that next opportunity to be a part of that. At least he can get a paycheck.
It's just always so weird to see like Natty be by herself when her husband is there and like you never see him. It's like, okay, thank you, WWE.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's got that going for him. But yeah, that is kind of funny. They're just all of a sudden out of nowhere going to bring him back. I mean, I'm really hoping this guy has bigger and better things other than Total Divas to do in WWE. To be honest with you, I really do. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about someone that's been away for a while. Another person is Eva Marie. Apparently, Sean, she says that she's not out of the company, that she's just been working on other projects right now, just still around. But I don't know. That seems kind of weird.
Yeah. Maybe she's just really trying to keep herself out of the limelight so that when she does return, it's a huge deal and everybody can go crazy on the internet and freak out and get pissed and whatever. Because normally if you're still with the company, you're like retweeting what wrestlers say and what WWE says and all that stuff. But like, I think she even took the WWE part of her Twitter handle off and all that stuff. So it makes you think, oh no, she's not. But she might have just done that because she wanted to be taken seriously as an actress and all that kind of whatever else she's doing, and knew that she has WWE in her back pocket, and that's fine. It is what it is. We know how Vince loves to have movie stars that are also wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if this is her trying to just maybe distance herself a little bit while she's out here trying this before she comes back or whatever, then so be it. But, I mean, she's taken a lot of the steps that usually a lot of people who aren't with the company anymore do. So it's a little weird to say, but, I mean, if she's not gone, then that's okay. Maybe she's just not here right now.
Yeah, no, it's not okay, Paul. It's terrible.
She was getting legitimate heat, though, so there was something there.
I get it. It's awful. I just thinking to myself every time she's on TV is like, Del Rio, you got the wrong one. You should have took that one with you down the hole. But anyway.
Well, I think Jonathan is trying to do that enough with her, taking it. Look, I don't think from things that we've seen about the guy, I don't think that he's too into like her being in WWE either, because she's gone all the time. Mm-hmm. So, it could be a myriad of factors of why she's distancing herself on purpose and trying to have a career in something else that maybe he's more okay with, where she might be around a bit more.
I could see that, and not only that, I mean, you got to be really fearful with someone, any female on the roster because of a sexy guy like Bray Wyatt trolling around looking for, new interest,
It's true.
So, I mean, he is that magnetizing. So, yeah, smart on Jonathan's part there, I'll have to say that. But, we're talking about movie stars. Let's talk about another guy that's in WWE that's doing movies, and we saw him in the Ninja Turtles movie. Now we're going to see him in another movie that's kind of interesting. Josh Duhamel was on Monday Night Raw, and he was on the announce team and kind of gave us an opportunity to find out that Sheamus is going to be in a new WWE film called The Buddy Games, and Duhamel will be directing that one. This is going to be, I guess, another notch in Sheamus's cap when it comes to the movies. I mean, I know it probably won't be a huge role, but it's just so funny to me. He's, getting a lot of attention out there. And when I know this is WWE Films, but he's at least getting attention when it comes to movie making. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, this is cool for him, right? I mean, it's another movie. It's probably not a big movie, or anything like that, but it's something, and WWE does like to do this, as we've already said. So cool for Sheamus.
Yeah, cool for Sheamus. I thought Josh Duhamel actually did pretty well on Raw, commentating the match. So, maybe he has a future there if this directing stuff doesn't work out for him. But I mean, they're gonna make like 10,000 more Transformers movies, so he's always got a gig.
Yeah. Honestly, we kind of talked about that too, and it's for the fact that the guy, I mean, he was paying attention to the match, I think, more than the other commentators. He was really enjoying it, and that was kind of funny, especially for a guy that you knew didn't really follow wrestling a whole lot.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I felt like he was actually sort of a fan of maybe he doesn't, I mean, the dude's got things to do. He doesn't have time to sit there and be on wrestling Twitter talking about Okada Omega 2 or whatever, but I'm sure he follows it here and there, and he's probably actually interested because he cares, unlike those people in the booth that just watch this all the time and they're kind of like, all right, I'm tuning out,
Yeah.
Or
you're right
Vince is telling me to say like 30 things at once, so
Yeah. I mean, and that's where DeMille had some, probably a luxury of, Vince is going to be a little bit nicer to him. So he didn't have to do all that stuff. But, I mean, I agree. And, good for Sheamus. I mean, this guy, he's probably going to want to do more acting after he gets closer to the end of his career, right? And so this is good. The more stuff that you have on your resume, the more stuff that IMDb says about you, the better off you're going to be in the long run. So happy for Sheamus for that, Let's talk about Slammiversary, and the reason we're going to talk about...
Hold on, this is it's not anything serious, but
yeah,
apparently there was perhaps they have booked Bayley so badly that even Izzy has turned on Bayley and is now wearing Alexa Bliss attire.
Good for her. Smart decision.
Maybe they say never meet your heroes, and maybe she met her and some more and didn't like what she saw, and it's like, that Alexa Bliss girl seems all right.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can all be on the same page with that one, right? I mean, I feel bad for Bayley.
I just feel like, I wonder, maybe she just got smart and said, look, I feel like they're not doing Bayley justice here. I'm kind of not into this anymore. Alexa's cool. Let me just, I think I'm on the Alexa train now. Just WWE, get with it.
Well, not only that, you also got to think that she realized the fame that she was getting and all the press and probably the free passes to shows because of who she is. She probably thought to herself, I better get on a train that means that I get to go to more pay-per-views, and that's the one you want to hitch your wagon to, I think. Bayley right now is not that wagon. So I feel bad. I think Bayley's got a bright future ahead of her, but that's in the future. Right now is not that time. Bliss is definitely doing more things, being able to be in the championship role more than not. That says a lot. So that is kind of sad, though. Honestly, that does kind of break your heart a bit. I just remember all those NXTs with Izzy and her being so excited for Bayley. Man, it's kind of sad. Man.
Some of her big matches were built around, like, something with Izzy in them.
Yeah. Maybe a storyline, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's that infamous moment when Sasha Banks stomped on Bayley's hands right in front of Izzy's face and made her cry.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think this is a storyline?
I doubt it.
Okay. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I mean, kids grow up and decide they like other things. It's normal.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I grew up and, was more of a fan of Chris Jericho than I was Bill Goldberg. It happens. You grow up. Anyway, enough about my childhood and the damage that I was taken back by the world of wrestling. Let's talk about some Slammiversary. And the reason I want to talk about Slammiversary is not about the matches or anything about that, but what's cool is we are going to have some Lucha Underground phases as a part of that show. We have El Hijo de Fantasma, which if you don't know him by the name, King Cuerno, is going to be a part of that show, along with Drago. Those two guys will be hanging out at Slammiversary and being a part of that show. That's kind of interesting. I really didn't think that they would ever be heading over there and doing this. What do you think, Sean?
I'm sorry. We're talking about...
Slammiversary.
That's why I tuned out as TNA. No, I'm joking.
Wow.
So... the thing is, this is not the cool King Cuerno. So you got that one, but you do still get the awesome Drago. So they got one out of the two. You still got Hijo de Fantasma is still a fantastic wrestler, but just making a joke about some of the the AAA gimmicks sometimes are inferior to the Lucha Underground gimmicks, but that's neither here nor there. TNA, look, I think it's cool that they're going to get some different talent on their shows. Maybe some Noah talent is also going to show up on Slammiversary as well. So, especially because I think TNA is about to do another tour over there or sending some guys over there. So that's nice. It's one of your big shows of the year. You're only one of two that you have now. You should be doing more with your partnerships that you made a big deal out of.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's coming directly from AAA, which is why it's El Hijo de Fantasma and not King Cuerno. So there's that. This is a minor interesting thing that might make a lot of people think twice about skipping on Slammiversary, even though the rest of the card is hit or miss. For me, this might be kind of cool, and the new LAX is one of the better things on that show. So these guys are going to be in the 4-way tag team match against those guys, and the other two teams are rumored to also be from the other promotions that TNA is working with. So it could be some Noah guys in there for all we know. It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Still not paying $40 for it, but
oh god, no.
Still,
no. Yeah, about that. Yeah. But this is good. I mean, anything that they can do over there in Impact to get people to watch their product, that's important. And all I have to say is they need to make sure that the bathrooms are clear. Because anytime you have,
Man, they need to do a scene with Drago coming out of the bathroom. They have to at this point.
Could you imagine EC3 walking in there, just sitting there, and just like, what are you doing here? This is my office. What are you doing?
Exactly. I could so see that happening. EC3 just walks in the bathroom like, whoa, I'm going to walk the other way.
Guys don't hang out in here like you do in TNA.
Your lighting fixtures in here are better than ours.
Yeah.
Lighter.
It's awesome. So good stuff. Man. Hopefully that will happen. That'll make Slammiversary worth your time. It was to happen. We're already booking it.
Hey, if not, you can go watch King Mo next to Lashley. That's the reason to watch Slammiversary.
Oh man, King Mo. Yeah, I'm on it, man. Okay, so I don't want to get too depressed. I want to move on to something that's a happy thing before we get out of this and move on, because New Japan is right around the corner. I can't wait till you guys talk about the G1 blocks and some of the main events that were announced for that. But before we get out of quick hits, we do have to mention this. We have Wrestle Circus out of Austin, Texas, and they have been streaming their shows on Twitch. And this is making some noise because they're getting tons of views on Twitch. That brings up, for the fact that, man, their product is pretty good, apparently. We've known that they've done a lot of great shows, and they've had really good matchups. I mean, my goodness, I've heard a lot of big names in the world of independent wrestling heading over there. plus, for the fact that we saw YouTube and the controversy with that because they are no longer paying wrestling anything. They're paying them really barely any kind of cash flow over there. So now Twitch could be that next moneymaker possibly. Do you think that's part of this? What do you think about this whole thing, Paul?
This is really interesting because Wrestle Circus, for the show that they aired on Sunday, got over 160,000 views. They had as many as 10,000 people watching live at a time. And despite the fact that the show goes almost 5 hours, it's that's a really incredible achievement. And you could... They also made a lot of headlines, too, for being able to tip. That was only available through Twitch, and you tipped the promotion directly, and they donated all that to charity, which is really, really cool. So this really could be something that promotions like Beyond and other places that went all in on YouTube could maybe find a safe haven for to sort of create extra cash in play. What Culture is another one that comes to mind, too. I think this is really interesting. It's worth exploring, right? Wrestle Circus has made a lot of headlines for trying new and different things, and this is certainly one of them. And if this works out, tons and tons of people already use Twitch. They have the infrastructure there. If this works out, this could be a huge deal.
Yeah, I think certainly... people are already accustomed to watching things for 5 hours on Twitch, so watching a wrestling show for 5 hours is not anything out of the way. I mean, you're sitting there watching a guy play a game and make funny faces or something, or say something funny. The wrestling show is probably much more entertaining by a large margin. So, that actually doesn't surprise me, that if you put something that's a live event on Twitch, people will flock to it. It's already, like you said, it's already got the infrastructure. I think it's really cool for Wrestle Circus to be the first that's really doing it, because now everybody else that does it is following them. Now, the other thing is, too, the tipping. If you wanted to use that for your promotion, now you're going to look like a total asshole if you do, because if you don't give it to charity instead. So, some of these smaller promotions that might actually need those tips to pay wrestlers or whatever, that's something that's going to be talked about, because Gabe Sapolsky made a whole post, which he then deleted, probably when he found out that they donated all those tips to charity, that, he's not cool with, he doesn't think that, wrestlers need to be tipped for what they're doing in matches or whatever. You're there to entertain the crowd, and I think he has a fair point in that respect, but it's a service that's available through Twitch. You do that for the entertainer that's doing that when you're watching a live stream. It's not really that much different when a wrestler is doing it for your entertainment on a Twitch deal. I think this is cool. You do have to... There is one downside to Twitch, that they don't keep all your videos, so, you would still, but by then you've already gotten all the money that you're going to get out of it if you have the 60-day thing, because you're probably not going to make any money. After like 2 months, nobody's watching those videos, and if they are, you can put them on YouTube, and you won't make any money off it on YouTube, but people can watch it if they want. So there's a good process there. Amazon owns it, so it's about, will Amazon at some point decide to put their hand in and perhaps do a YouTube thing as well, or take some kind of piece of the pie or whatever if this becomes a popular thing. That's the problem with corporations owning stuff, is eventually they get greedy. And I just wouldn't be surprised if this money chain, goes by the wayside. Maybe not as extreme as YouTube, but just, I don't think we need to just think this is the saving grace for, constantly. Just be aware that at any point Amazon can decide, if they go, look, I don't know that we like that this is now becoming a wrestling thing, let's do something to change that, and then it's the same thing over again. Hopefully not. I don't want to see that happen. I don't like what's happening for YouTube because it doesn't help wrestling. Like, we do wrestling stuff, and it gets put on YouTube, and that doesn't help us either. So, like, even from a personal perspective, it's not helping us. It's not helping these wrestlers. It's not helping these promotions. So, and they got the homosexual one changed. So maybe these petitions could work, but perhaps, with wrestling, they don't see it as oh my God, we're breaking culture here. So they're not going to probably change it, but you never know.
What was the homosexual one? I never heard about
that one.
Like,
you couldn't, if you had anything that talked about anything lesbian or gay or whatever in your video, it wouldn't get the ad support, or it would basically get what the equivalent of the wrestling ad support, not the general one. It was one of the things that they put into the we don't really want to support this deal.
Okay, so now you.
I think it had to do with the I think it had to do with some sort of ISIS or whatever thing. And they were worried about that becoming an issue, so...
Okay, so now you can talk about the homosexual content that you want to talk about and make ad revenue, right?
Yes, they changed that now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so tune in next week. We got Wrestling to the Max, where we'll be talking all about who is the cutest wrestler on the dock, and we'll be getting into that. No females involved.
Well,
I just trying to make a little cash.
This might be an episode of Gary After Dark where you are on by yourself.
Well, hey, if it makes us money, you should be happy. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's a good thing.
Yes.
It honestly is a good thing. I'm glad they did change the policy. I had to tease.
No.
Wrestling is not making.
Gary was not. Gary was not saying anything bad there. He's making a joke. Just
no problems. I just sometimes I might be a little too dark, and I know they're too dark when Paul stays. So we will move on and actually talk about something that besides my terror jokes, and that is the G1. That's right, the G1 Climax is coming your way really fast. And just to let you guys know, also before we play that New Japan music, I want you guys to know we are still talking best in the. That's why Ring of Honor's pay-per-view from the weekend. We did not cover that yet, so we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the Ring of Honor taping following that. So we still have that content available, but let's go ahead and jump into some New Japan talk, guys. We will be right back with New Japan.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
All right. So the everything is announced now for the G1. We knew who was in last week as far as who was actually going to be in the G1 itself, but we didn't know what the blocks were, and we didn't know, some of the big matches. We could guess them because everybody has to wrestle each other, but now we know on what days they're happening and stuff like that. In fact, all the cards are out. You have to read Japanese to be able to see who's facing who on what day, other than what New Japan's already released. But still, it's pretty cool to know what's here. Paul, plus you had some I didn't get to watch them, but you also had 3 title matches that took place on these 3 shows where they revealed these G1 events. Did you get to watch?
I am halfway through the first one, so not really.
Well, from what I've heard everybody else talk about, the Yoshihashi and Suzuki Never title match is really, really good. And I have not heard much about the match from today, but I'm sure that Kushida and Bushi being involved. I think we all knew who was going to win that. The news coming out is that El Desperado will be his next challenger. So,
right. Kushida apparently wins, and Despy attacks him with a guitar afterwards. So,
well, Jeff Jarrett has got to be proud.
Somebody is.
You could say he was the chosen one for the next.
Hang up the call, Sean. You're done.
So
I know another big thing on the show is the Young Lions, especially on night 2. You have 2 10-minute draws that are supposed to be really good, and Kawato getting a lot of opportunities to wrestle with the bigger stars and really proving himself is apparently one of the things to watch as well. So that's all really good to hear too.
And especially, because they're also building to the last, because technically the last show before they go on a little break, before G1 starts, is on July 4th on Tuesday, is Lionsgate Project 7. So they had reasons for that as well. Of course, this weekend has the G1 USA Special shows, which we'll probably get into more on the Thursday episode. But here we'll talk about the blocks and the main events here. So, Block A, and if you've already heard it, this, you can just rejoice with us that we're getting to talk about some fantastic action that is going to take place starting on July 17th and going till August 13th. So, Block A, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Togi Makabe. I feel like they're always paired in the same block for the most part. Hiroki Goto, who was also in the same block as these men last year, along with Tomohiro Ishii. Bad Luck Fale is also in this block. He always gets paired with whatever block Tanahashi's in. Tetsuya Naito is back in an A block again. And, of course, we get 2 surprises. Kota Ibushi unmasked. Sorry if I blew someone's cover there. In the A block here, and Zack Sabre Jr. also in this block. So, man, pretty loaded section here.
Yeah, super duper stacked block. Makabe, I mean, you look at the lower parts, and Makabe and Fale are usually booked very well during these. And Nagata has announced this is his last G1 as well, which is a big deal. This is his 19th tournament, which is just incredible. A lot of people are picking Sabre as a dark horse. Naito is is the favorite to win the tournament again this year, and a lot of people think him dropping the Intercontinental title is a giveaway of him winning this. I like Kota Ibushi in this a lot too, especially once we get to the match announcements. They feature him a lot in the main event, and that's very interesting to me. And of course, 2 of my boys are in this block too, and Ishii and Goto. And just, fan favorites too, Yoshihashi and Tanahashi. Like, I mean, this is a terrific block. This is really hard to pick who you think is going to walk out of this one.
We know Nagata's not winning because
right.
If we go by everybody else's last whatever, you don't do well. Which makes sense. Because, if you look at it from the whole, okay, well, this is my last one. I've given all I had. I'm not going to be able to stand up with these young guns. But, yeah, I mean, there's quite a few possible ones. Like you said, Naito losing that IC belt. Could be a dead giveaway here. Could be a total swerve. I don't know. Every time you have a new invite, they don't, they get at the most 8 points. I don't know about Zack Sabre winning, but, he'll do well, I'm sure. And, or for all we know, he could be like when Michael Elgin first time was in here and he didn't do so hot. So he did hot in the matches, didn't do hot in the point standings. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if Kota's going to get a lot, or they're just putting him in a lot of the main events because we haven't seen him in a while. as Kota Ibushi, and they're banking on that to draw people?
I think that's part of it. I think another part of it is Shibata getting hurt, and they're down Hanma as well. The Shibata probably is the bigger reason why he's in this too, because obviously that was one of their big stars. Ibushi is still well loved, I think, within Japan. I know some people kind of soured on him a little bit just because he's a little ADD about where he wants to be right now, but he has said in multiple interviews with sports magazines in Tokyo that he wants to be the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So maybe this is just what they were waiting for, and Tiger Mask W was something there to just keep him around temporarily until he was ready to come back full-time, or more than part-time but less than full-time, whatever you want to call that. But he's here, and he is advertised a lot, as we'll talk about later. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's it's surprising who they advertise a lot in the other block, because two of these guys are not the mainstays in their own faction, but Hiroshi Tanahashi gets a lot of play there, along with Ibushi, so he's in a lot of the main events. But B block also stacked. They did this really well this year, where last year you were sometimes dreading kind of watching a little bit of one of the blocks. Like, it was like, some of these matches are going to suck. Well, with this match, you don't this block, you don't have to worry about that at all, because you're going to have both these blocks are going to have fantastic matches going in. So you have Satoshi Kojima, Michael Elgin, Juice Robinson, Kazuchika Okada, who's the IWGP Heavyweight Champion unless he loses to Cody Rhodes, Toru Yano, Kenny Omega, Tama Tonga, Minoru Suzuki, SANADA, and Evil. And SANADA and Evil get a lot of main events, along with Kenny Omega getting advertised a heck of a lot more than Okada. So it's surprising the amount of not main events that Okada is in.
Mm-hmm. And the internet has, of course, lost its mind, because on the last night of Block B action, Okada and Omega will main event once again. I believe that's one of the shows at Ryogoku Sumo Hall, which the internet's melting down because of this.
Yeah.
There's still, there's tons of great matches to be had in this too. SANADA on this most recent show, the 627 Kazuna Road show, was offered a spot in Taguchi, Japan, which I found very interesting as maybe tipping a sign that he could do very well in this tournament. And in this block, outside of Omega and Okada, and to a degree Suzuki, you have a lot of guys here who are on the precipice of being main events or big time stars, but aren't quite at that level yet, and they have an opportunity to do that. Elgin's probably going to win the U.S. title, so you might have some matchups in here that could play well off of all that. But Evil and SANADA getting a ton of main events is really interesting, and I think that's just because of how well LIJ's been doing. And secondly, because SANADA and Evil are both terrific wrestlers, right? And there's so many great matches to be had here.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you get more from Tama Tonga here as well, because last year he had matches where he looked good, but for the most part, I think a lot of people were tipping him to have a big tournament, and he kind of didn't. You get your day off with Yano as well in here, so, of course, Suzuki and Yano have a long history with each other.
Yep.
So they get to also co-main event the final B-Block show in Sumo Hall. So that's interesting on that end. And they put Elgin and Omega in the same block again, and they're facing off in the tournament. Mm-hmm. So they're going to face off, quite a bit in a matter of weeks or whatever. So interesting, but every time these two go at it, it's it's a fantastic match. So no complaints here. So let's go. These are the main events now. There being 10 people in each block, 5 matches per block per show because they did the alternating block shows again. So the 17th, which is the opener, is A block. It's Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito to start you off on night 1. Watch out, Upset Central.
Yeah, night 1 is Upset Central. They always do something unexpected. I'm looking at both of the underdogs in that winning. So Zack Sabre Jr. might get a win over Tanahashi, and Ibushi might beat Naito.
Yeah, I mean, he could have pulled a swerve in just one of them. But it's cool for CSJ to get that spot. You know, he's coming in. We haven't seen him do too much for Suzuki-gun, and he's already getting a big spot there on night 1. So tells you a lot.
It'll be really interesting, too, because I think Zack Sabre Jr. has been positioned as being the next coming of Minoru Suzuki as far as what they've done with him so far, and that he seems to enjoy torturing people. And Tanahashi's got injuries with him in every single match for like the last 5 years. So that'll be really interesting to watch him play off of all that.
For sure. And just, yeah, I mean, how well is he going to do in this tournament? They could absolutely make us feel like we did with SANADA last year, where, he beats Tanahashi, and then, he's going to have this great tournament, and he doesn't. And then, this year might be that year, and they do SANADA Evil right off the bat, and the first B block show on the 20th, and then Suzuki Omega, my goodness. Watch it there for, Suzuki and maybe to get one on Omega, and SANADA Evil. That's just going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they were in the same block last year too, weren't they?
It was Naito and Evil last year.
Naito and Evil, okay.
Yeah.
I imagine they won't hold anything back much like they did last year. So that should be really, really great. And which one's hungrier, right?
I could see Evil just totally punking SANADA for a while, and then it makes SANADA have to pull it together. It's gonna be fun, and Suzuki and Omega is gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, Suzuki is in his element, right? He has a series of matches with big time people that he can just stretch and beat and abuse for however long he chooses to, because when you're the king demon of the promotion, that's what you get to do.
Yeah, main events, you get 60 minutes, so...
Yeah. Poor Omega's in for stretching.
Well, speaking of stretching, CSJ is going to be trying to do that to Ibushi on the next night. That is a match I think a lot of people circled and said they wanted to see, and they got it, and they're going to get it really quick.
Yeah, that main event, too, of Yoshihashi and Naito should also be very interesting just because they're so similar in style to each other. And Yoshihashi's been having himself one heck of a year, so it'll be really interesting to see how well he does across the entire tournament. And yeah, I mean, Ibushi, Zack Sabre Jr. was people's dream CWC finale last year, so New Japan capitalizing on that and putting it on the big stage.
So there you go, New Japan. Pay attention and get that one. Kenny Omega and Tama Tonga in a main event. Of course, Bullet Club guys going against each other. And then you get... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Then you get
really
Suzuki and SANADA too, so...
Suzuki and SANADA should be great. That's, more guys who like to choke each other. But Omega and Tama Tonga is one I'm really looking forward to. Like Sean said earlier, Tonga was kind of pegged to have a big tournament last year. Slow start, strong finish. Kind of made for an unequal performance. Hopefully he can actually do that better this year. And here's hoping Omega wears the serious pants the entire time.
I think so. I think he's definitely going to want to go out there and defend that crown. It's just going to be interesting how they lay this out, right?
Yeah.
Because it all depends on what happens on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. For sure, absolutely, and of course, these smaller shows that you get in the middle of some of these nights too, they do like to take quote unquote nights off too, which is something Okada was infamous for throughout his entire run. And of course, he did a 30-minute draw with Tanahashi last year, so and he had like 3 5-star matches during the tournament. Like, it was understandable. So
yeah, I mean, he's had one crazy year, so I would not be surprised at all if perhaps they're not putting him in main event. I mean, this could also be story, because remember last year, building up to the Okada-Tanahashi thing, was that subtle, oh, well, he keeps still calling himself the ace, even though I beat him at Wrestle Kingdom, and whatever. Could they be trying to tell a story with that of Okada not main eventing so much? Or could it be another sort of hint that maybe, he's not going to be champion coming into this? We'll just have to see. New Japan might also just be saying, look, everybody's maybe sick of Okada at this point. Or we could get to that point where he could be, let's highlight some other guys in those main events.
Or maybe he's going to be taking more falls than he's used to. I mean, a story going on throughout his title reign has been he's been going through these incredibly grueling matches, and there's nothing more grueling than the G1. So, I mean, maybe he's going to be losing a little bit more often than we're used to.
Especially if he's not champion. You can easily have him do that then, because there's no consequence to him losing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the next night, Ibushi and Ishii. Oh, my God. Remember when Shibata and Ibushi went at it with each other? Oh, could you imagine when Ibushi meets the cement wall that is Tomohiro Ishii and tries to kick him? I'm pretty sure Ishii's not having none of that.
I'm a giant Ishii fan. I love this guy to pieces, and just, my goodness, if he doesn't, I'm sure he'll have a great showing in the tournament, right? Like, he always gets a couple big wins during this, and he takes some absolutely silly losses. But him and Ibushi, him and anybody in the block is good. Is potential for amazing, and this is certainly one of those that you might be looking at 4.5 upwards for sure.
Yeah, and then you got Makabe and Goto. Those two guys that are just going to beat the pulp out of each other. So
yeah, somebody is going to lose some face. Legitimately.
There might be one match where Omega doesn't wear the serious pants. It could be for this match against Yano, which is main eventing, because they also had a lot of fun last year in their match.
They did.
So I want to see that again. I think the crowd wants to see it again. And Okada SANADA, man. Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah, this is getting a little deeper in the tournament, so it could be one of those that Okada takes a rest on, but SANADA is being tipped and has been tipped, I think, since the moment they signed him, that he's going to be a guy in the top of the card someday for this company. And the fans who follow the promotion and everybody who watches is just sort of waiting for that time. And if this is the moment, then great, but until then, this should be a really good match, too. It's just, I don't want to get my hopes up for a lot of these middle ones, because I've been disappointed before.
Also the match of two guys that were in TNA, and TNA wasted them. So
shocker.
It's Makabe taking on Ibushi. This could. I feel like they wrestled the last time that Ibushi was in this, and it was okay. Makabe has his times where he can have good matches. It's obviously got to be against guys that he really matches well up against, like Goto and Ishii. Obviously Tanahashi gets great matches out of everybody. But, this could be one of those where, one of the guys takes a day off or not. And you got Tanahashi and Goto. That's going to be some great stuff.
Tanahashi's worth keeping an eye on because I feel like they're going to use a lot of his matches in the G1 to set up challengers. I have Goto beating him, and I have Ishii beating him to set up challenges down the line, and possibly leading to the Dome as well. So keep an eye on all of his matches because I feel like those are going to matter a lot.
Yeah, I wonder how close Billy Gunn is even going to get to sniffing a win against Tanahashi in that.
I'll be surprised if they go more than 15 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah, he might get a little gassed, Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
At that point. Suzuki taking on Evil. Woo. Talk about bruising.
Mm-hmm.
And Elgin Omega, too. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're getting in that main event. And Suzuki and Evil has the potential not only to be a really great match, but the interactions between those two is something I'm really looking forward to watching as well.
Just two cold faces staring at one another.
Who will look more tired during that match? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. You know, I would bet on Suzuki just because Evil has the face paint to cover his, some of his face there.
What if Evil just goes darker on the little underlines under his eye?
Yeah, maybe he does, How much Suzuki Gun is going to bug the crap out of him. That's another thing I'm not that looking forward to, but we shall see. Tanahashi and Yoshihashi, I'm really excited for that. Yoshihashi getting a big match like that, that's pretty awesome. And you get Ishii and Naito again, which they also match up in the tournament. So.
Ishii matches up with everybody. That's going to deliver. Tanahashi and Yoshihashi should deliver as well. Just Tanahashi loves going above and beyond for a lot of these younger guys. And Yoshihashi being on the up and up seems to be something that Tanahashi would love to work hard for.
Yeah, you know it. I'm just excited to see if Yoshihashi maybe pulls the upset. Let's see. I mean, he's already got a never title defense. You never know.
Yeah.
Kojima taking on Omega. That's lots of fun there. And Juice and Okada. Woo.
That could be really interesting, right? Juice has given a lot of people a run for their money. I don't think he's had a one-on-one match with Okada yet, so that should be really cool. And then, of course, Kojima throwing lariats on everybody throughout this tournament is something I'm looking forward to, and Kenny's going to get lit up on this night.
Yeah, watch out. The strong arm versus the V-trigger, which one hits first?
Yeah.
You get Nagata, I think this is his only main event, against Ishii and Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi. Oh, just don't throw Tanahashi like a lawn dart this time. Just...
Yeah, it's a bit more sensitive cargo these days than it used to be.
That match is going to be great, though. Just that.
Oh, yeah.
Does Ibushi get that win back?
I don't know. A lot of people kind of have this earmarked as maybe a possible match for the Dome. So I don't know, to be honest with you. And of course, Ibushi winning here would help to set that up too. But, gosh, I don't know. I would think so, just because I have Tanahashi somewhere in the middle of the pack. But, they like to book Tanahashi strong during this, no matter what's going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then, last year they had him lose for a little bit, and then he started making a comeback, and they could do the opposite this year. So, Ghetto likes to have fun with these, messing with your mind.
He sure does.
You think you have no idea.
He destroyed everybody's bracket within, the first 2 days last year.
Exactly. You're like, oh, man, I got the perfect bracket. Oh, there it goes.
It's gone.
Kojima against Suzuki. Oh my God, that is all kinds of amazing, and you get Omega and Evil too.
Yeah, Kojima and Suzuki is big guy throwing big guy moves, and Omega and Evil. It's like Omega wrestling Elgin. Evil reminds me a whole lot of him. So you know how well those two match up, and this should be just about the same.
You got Naito and CSJ. So it's which one can pull the hold on faster, because we know Naito likes to use that heel hook a lot. And Tanahashi and Makabe, which Tanahashi always gets a good match out of Makabe, but I wouldn't. That's probably one of the ones that he could take a night off there.
Yeah, this looks like a night off for those guys there, and it's always a nice reminder of Tanahashi. And Makabe was the one who won the G1 the first time I was watching this tournament, so that's really cool always. And I think he was the one that even beat Tanahashi for the championship at Wrestle Kingdom that year too. So good stuff there down memory lane for me. And then of course Naito and Zack Sabre Jr. That's going to be top shelf stuff.
Kojima and SANADA going at it. They have a little bit with the Taguchi Japan stuff there, and you get Okada and Evil on the other end.
Yeah, Okada and Evil, I'm really looking forward to a lot. Just because one, I love Evil, and two, everything Okada's touched this year has been golden, and if you find Okada on the right night and he's willing to do something for you, you might have yourself an awesome match. And the same, obviously, Kojima and SANADA should be really fun, too.
On August 6th, you get Makabe and Naito. That could be good. Could be better than that. And you get Tanahashi and Ishii. Oh, Lord. Remember what this was last year. Oh.
This was a war last year. I expect another war this year, and I expect Ishii to win here.
You also get, on August 8th, Omega Sanada. Wow, that's... Talk about two athletes going at it there, and then Okada Suzuki again. Woo.
I think Okada's leg is already quivering and shrinking away from the 8th.
Yeah, God.
Not again.
Don't do this to me again, please. Omega Sanada is going to be great, too. That's going to be fantastic stuff. And you're getting towards the end here, because the last two are Ibushi Goto, which... that's going to be fantastic. Tanahashi, Naito. These two met 2 years ago when Naito first debuted his new gimmick. That was one of the times where it was really brutal for Naito. I think he pulled out a table and everything else in that match. And then, of course, 8-12-year-old we talked about. Just, these G1's going to be awesome, as always.
Yeah, and these last three nights are obviously they're all at Ryogoku Sumo Hall, so that's why the main events are bigger with Tanahashi and Naito getting a third go around, and Okada and Omega getting their third go around as well. Plus, Ibushi and Goto ain't no chopped liver either, and Yano and Suzuki getting the co-main event on the 12th. What happens when comedy runs into a demon? We're gonna find out.
Oh, you never know. Is Yano got a fast one on Suzuki again? Just to piss him off some more. Or does Suzuki just kill him in 10 seconds? So, we'll see.
Never know. Who do you have coming out of these blocks, Sean?
Oh my God, we're making these early predictions already.
Why
not? Jeez. So, A block... Naito, I think, is coming out of the A block. I feel like if he doesn't make it to the final again, especially after last year, that's, I wonder what that means. And B block is a bit more wide open. You could have quite a few come out of there. You know what? I'll say. I'm probably going to change this before we get to the. I'll say Omega again, because I think Omega finally beats Okada here in the G1. And then I think Naito winds up beating him and avenging his loss from last year.
That is also what I have happening too. I have Naito making it out of Block A. I have Omega beating Okada to win Block B on the final night. And, of course, the matches with Okada have been just killer and take everything out of you. And I wager Omega goes into that tired and just comes up short against Naito to give Naito his second G1 victory. But I'm with you on Block B. They could not, Gedo could get cute and make somebody more out of this, like an Elgin or a SANADA for sure, or for Juice out of nowhere,
Yeah, talk about out of nowhere. It's not totally out of nowhere for Juice. He's gotten title matches already. If Elgin's U.S. champion, I wonder if that would hinder him a bit. Mm-hmm. But it could happen. I wonder if SANADA, Evil, either one of them getting so many main events, if that's a telling sign there, that they could be doing very well. There's got to be a reason they're doing Omega and Okada that late, though. Usually somebody's playing spoiler, or it's a big triumph, or whatever. So, it's there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't... With how hot Okada and Omega has been for New Japan this year, they're not doing anything without a good reason.
Yeah, plus, Naito can avenge his IC title loss to Tanahashi there.
Of course.
So, that it says a lot. It's about how they get there, though. I think, we were doubting ourselves last year. Of course, we both had the famous line of 0% chance Kenny Omega wins, and look at that. And he wins. And then... we're sitting here thinking that we're very sure, and hey, I don't think a lot of people were picking Goto to get to the final last year.
I don't think anybody was. Yeah. I think I had the exact same final I have picked this year as I did last year with Naito beating Kenny, and half of that came true.
Yeah. So I think they can certainly do it 2 years in a row if they want to. The stage is set there. Just feels like Yano being there with Suzuki feels like a spoiler to me, but, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. It's the G1, anything can happen, and they like to establish that early on in the first two nights. So if you don't watch anything else from this tournament, at least watch those nights, and, of course, everything from Sumo Hall is always gold, too.
Do you think, I feel like so much of this is set up for, as much as the world is going to explode, I feel like so much of this is set up for Okada to lose on Saturday.
I don't think he does. As much as I love Cody, I don't think him winning the IWGP Championship is just going to happen, just because I think there's so much on, Okada dropping it to somebody big, and, somebody that's going to make a big moment for him. And Naito has sort of been, I don't want to say in the background, but he's been 1A, right? And it's time for him to be 1, and what better way to do that than to dethrone Okada? And that can create another year-long story that you follow. Plus, you could have everybody else start gunning for her, too, and the Omegas and the Tanahashis and whoever else comes up big for the promotion down the road. But I just don't see it happening. I really don't.
I just wonder if, this whole story of Okada's been... Look at when Cody comes in to bother Okada, right? He's coming after the match, in the post-match situation, when Okada is so tired. And Okada's been beat up and beat up and beat up so much. What a story for Kenny Omega, too, right? You do all this stuff to try to beat Okada, and then your freaking Bullet Club mate comes in and takes the title after you're the one that tired Okada out more than anybody else. And just, I think that there's so many layers there that Gedo could play with. I mean, we could just, Cody being that slimy guy that wins, the guy that, Like, he goes and wins the ROH championship. He just gets such an ego for himself, and there's a lot there if they want to do it. I hesitate about it, but I don't know. I hate saying it, but I think he's going to win on Saturday.
I don't discount the story implications that could come out of Cody Rhodes winning the championship. I really don't. But at the end of this magical weekend that's going to take place out there in Long Island, California this weekend, they have to go back home to Japan. They have to worry about drawing. They have to worry about so much. And as much as I love Cody, I don't think he's that guy in Japan yet, like an Omega or even an Elgin or maybe a Juice right now. You know, he's got interest. People do like him, but he's not the guy you want to count on filling seats. And I don't think they want to take that risk of going back home and maybe falling on their face at a lot of these smaller shows because Cody's your champion. And I mean, the G1 might sell itself, but going on after that could be a little rough. So I don't think they go that way. You can still do a lot in that match of maybe Cody coming close and Kenny costing him that, or something along those lines. But a lot of people think with Ibushi coming out full tilt now that it's time to do Omega and Ibushi on a big stage, maybe like a G1 finale, or maybe like a Wrestle Kingdom. So that's another one that's been going around a lot too.
Yeah, do you think that they could do that? You know, Ibushi specifically requested he didn't want to be in the same block as Omega.
Mm-hmm.
That they do that big match as a G1 final instead of doing it at Wrestle Kingdom?
I think it obviously depends on what your plans are for Kenny going forward. If you have him winning the championship, then maybe you do that here. You have Ibushi win the G1. You have Kenny go on to King of Pro Wrestling and get his title match with Okada and win there. And at Wrestle Kingdom, you now have Ibushi and Omega as your main event. And that's the big stage that everybody's been waiting for those two to go out there and just, wow the crowd. If you don't, then you're waiting longer, I think, because I don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen with Ibushi after this.
Yeah, he doesn't have. He's the only one that doesn't have a logo by his name in the pictures there. That scenario, I think, is the dream scenario for a lot of people. Of we want to see them meet up on the big stage of Wrestle Kingdom. I think preferably without having the G1 final, so that it's the one time in New Japan. And you get that big moment, but they could do both. They could have a meet up in the final, and Ibushi wins, and then Ibushi then maybe wins the championship at Wrestle Kingdom to be the big Japanese face going over.
They absolutely could do that, and I know a lot of people and a lot of places have been saying that the only reason Kenny hasn't won the title yet is because he hasn't signed long-term with New Japan. And I don't know if they maybe use that as a way to try to get him to sign long-term. Say, hey, we'll let you have the match with Ibushi, and we'll give you the title and all this other stuff if you sign a 2-year, 3-year deal with us,
Right. Yeah. I mean, because I don't think it's January 4th, 2018. I think it's like the middle of 2018 or whatever that the contract expires at this point. But, if we're talking about around WrestleMania time, 2018, is that enticing for him?
Right.
It's a big moment. And he's talked about, I think he has visions of doing things with WWE, just not right now, but that he wants to be there. And it's just, I think that weighs in Kadani's mind at that point of like, do you want to give your championship to somebody that you feel like he's going to get enough feelers from the other side to eventually go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, on that idea, I mean, they did it for AJ, and Kenny's been here a lot longer, and maybe has done a lot more for your company now with the matches with Okada. So, who knows at this point?
Yeah. So much can
All right.
happen in that time, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that is some New Japan talk. I really enjoyed that. You guys did a great job talking about the G1 Climax and also getting into some of the future on what's going to be happening post G1. I like that. So we've got a lot of stuff to look forward to in New Japan. We have one last thing to do, and that's talk Ring of Honor on this show. We are going to talk best in the world, and Paul is going to lead us down that path. And then, of course, following that, we'll be talking about the Ring of Honor TV taping. Because really, honestly, it kind of piggybacks on that pay-per-view. So we'll be talking about both those in just a second here, and we will be right back with some Ring of Honor.
Oh, there it is. All right.
All right, so Best in the World, of course, took place last Friday. Took place out there in Lowell, Connecticut, which they've done a lot of big stuff there. And they opened the show with The Kingdom, Matt Taven, and Vinny Marseglia taking on El Terrible and Ultimo Guerrero. Guerrero is over pretty big. They kind of go at it pretty fast and furious here for the 10 minutes they get. Taven has an awesome dive to the outside. The crowd's really into CMLL the whole time, and they end up sneaking out a win as, the Kingdom try to get up to their tricks, Gary, but it just doesn't prove enough, and Guerrero gets a sneaky roll-up on Vinny to steal a win.
Yeah, it is kind of sneaky, and I thought the Kingdom were going to win this match, but I think CMLL winning was a nice touch here, and I think it gave a great precedent for the crowd because they were all into it. They were really behind him, and it was just a lot of fun to watch, really. It wasn't anything super spectacular, but at the same time, it was just a blast to watch. And, the Kingdom does a great job every time they're involved. And, Taven is one of those guys that he's got that charisma and he's got that about him that kind of make the match even more, enticing. So I think it was a good start to this show. I don't think that they undersold us at all. I think they did a pretty good job for what they had, right? I mean, so I was happy with it.
I enjoyed this a lot, too. I think the commentary did a good job, too. It's BJ Whitmer and Ian Riccaboni doing the call here. And they talk a lot about Matt Taven's time in CMLL and how he sort of has a feud going with Ultimo Guerrero, which will carry over because Matt Taven's going to participate in their big tournament this year later on. And that might carry over into that and some other stuff. So I thought that was a really nice touch, too. And it gives a touch of credibility to CMLL guys who we haven't seen in a while. So I like that too.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
And moving on, then the next match is the strap match between Frankie Kazarian and Adam Paige. This goes about 12 minutes. They do a lot of fun stuff here with the straps. Paige pulls out a strap that has a whole bunch of nails and thumbtacks in it, and him and Kazarian take turns whacking each other with it. Kazarian does end up getting the win by hanging Paige up in the ropes with the strap that has all the metal stuff in it, and just with the news. Sorry, and Paige does a great job of selling, almost passing out and everything. And this feels odd because Paige obviously is the one who recently vanquished Adam Cole, and the start-stop for Adam Page continues.
Yeah, this was very odd, and I think that's the perfect terminology for it. I think you hit the head of the nail there. I think when I was watching this, I kind of got the idea that, okay, they're going to take this and they're going to kind of really go at it Fast and Furious, and they're going to get all their stuff in, which extent they did get a lot of their stuff in. And, of course, I love the fact that, Kazarian got his strap taken away. And that kind of led him to a disadvantage at times, but yet he was able to overcome that. It was kind of what you expected, and you kind of expected also Hangman to bring something that was, kind of lethal, which was that strap that had the nails and tacks and all that involved. So you got what you expected. The weird thing is that ending, though, because I did not see that coming at all. To me, it doesn't really do anything for Kaz. I think, okay, so Kazarian's great. We all know what he is, but I just think it really does kind of mess with what you have with Paige. I mean, because, he's kind of the enforcer for Bullet Club. He's something special. They continue on and on to do things with him. And like you're saying here, Paul, it's a stop-start kind of situation with him. I just don't think it really was the right path to go for them. Mm-hmm. But I maybe it's just one of those, hey, we're going to throw you off. I thought this feud would continue even past this. So
I thought this felt pretty final, honestly. And maybe it's just because they don't know what to do with Adam Page after they have him win the big thing. But maybe they're counting on Kazarian to continue to draw for them, which is something I thought about. And Adam Page doesn't really do that for them yet. But then again, they still haven't really let him try. So I don't know. I don't know what you do with Adam Page anymore, other than to just keep doing what you've been doing. And it just seems like a waste.
It does. I mean, I just wasn't a fan of it. I mean, I think the match was fine, right? I mean, the match kind of gave you some of what you wanted. Both guys, I mean, Kazarian really took some beatings with the strap, and you kind of wanted to see that kind of stuff when you have a strap match. But I kind of feel like kind of a waste. Not as thrilled as I wanted to be with the ending here.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that kind of confused me a little bit was this next match was, of course, is the losing team must disband. 8-man tag, a Search and Destroy, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Jonathan Gresham, and Jay White. Take on the rebellion of Kenny King, Rhett Titus, Caprice Coleman, and Shane Taylor. Search and Destroy do end up winning. Gresham locks in the octopus on Titus after he eats a whole bunch of moves beforehand. I figured they were going to stick with the rebellion here, but they go the other way, which I find interesting because Search and Destroy is already such a loose alliance. You don't lose a lot by having them break up, but maybe they have bigger plans for the other side of this table here with especially Kenny King, of course, but Shane Taylor, no slouch in the ring either. And I don't really know what you do with Rhett and Caprice going forward from here, but this was interesting to me.
This just bothered me because we did our round table and I had the match previous, which was Kaz and Paige, and I picked that one wrong. And then I picked this one wrong too. And for a lot of the reasons me and you have talked about when we cover Ring of Honor TV, and that's for the fact that we do have more of a reason to have the Rebellion to stick together than you do Search and Destroy because of those loose alliances. I really enjoy the All Night Express, and I think, with Caprice Coleman and, of course, adding Shane Taylor, he's still a pretty fresh face of this group. It's just odd to me that you would have those guys disband. It doesn't feel right. And I'm sure, yes, I mean, this gives you a great feeling, kind of like you did with Kaz. Oh, look, the good guy won. That's so great, and the good team. And it just, to me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel right. I don't think we really have to have the Motor Machine Guns stick together either. They really do fine by themselves. So It's just a weird way to kind of make this happen. I think Shane Taylor will do great on his own. I don't know. Was Kenny King, I mean, did he already do The Bachelorette? Or is he going to go do The Bachelorette? I can't remember which one.
He's already done it, as far as I know.
Okay, so that's done. Okay, so I couldn't remember. I was thinking to myself, I know they were going to do another one. I wonder if he's going to go head over there and do that, why they did this. But
The Bachelorette's airing right now that he's on.
He's on right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's part of this reason. I don't know. It still doesn't make a lot of sense for me, for them to kind of disband. They could make a reason for him to be gone, fake an injury or something. I don't know, Paul. I just don't feel right about it. I just kind of hate it in a way.
I mean, we get a decent reason for why they kept together or kept Search and Destroy together, I think, on the episode of Ring of Honor TV we're going to talk about this week, just because it is so loose. You also have the added advantage of it's so easy to add people, and especially new people who maybe need a leg up. And Search and Destroy also is an alliance that doesn't really have a problem fighting each other, as we've seen before, whereas you're kind of limited with that on the Rebellion, so There might be a little bit more to take away with Search and Destroy winning here, but I'm with you. This was perplexing to me as well. And it also should be noted after the match, Punishment Martinez run-ins to attack Jay White to keep that feud going as well. So
yeah, and which I'm still loving it, Paul. I mean, I will talk more about that match when we get to the actual TV taping, but still loving it. And I love the run-in. It makes only sense. So
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Martinez has always capitalized on these situations, and he keeps doing so, which is great. Jay Lethal and Silas Young then have their big grudge match up next. The Beer City Bruiser comes out first with Silas Young, and they, we'll see a lot from the Bruiser throughout this match, but Jay Lethal does end up getting a victory here with sort of a sneaky cradle after some interference from the Bruiser goes wrong. However, after the match, Beer City Bruiser and Silas Young lay Jay Lethal out with a bunch of keg stuff. They have Bruiser frog splash Lethal through a table, really attacking him. And Ian Riccaboni was a little late on calling this, but it seemed like they were trying to attack him and ruin his chances of winning the United States Championship tournament this weekend. So you're going to have an injured Lethal for that. Hopefully that'll all carry over, which would be really cool. But Lethal gets the sneaky win here. This obviously is not settled at all.
Yeah, definitely not settled. And I think if it is that crossover reason, to kind of have Lethal limping in for the United States Championship, I think that kind of gives us a good reason for him to lose, and it still doesn't hurt Ring of Honor, especially with a guy like Jay Lethal, who is one of their top guys. I mean, really right now he's not playing that role. He's kind of, playing more of the mid-card role at the moment, which, that's what he's got to do. But for what this was, I was okay with it. Silas Young, he's a good heel. I think he's got to get some wins in, and him not winning this didn't really kill him for the fact that he was able to kill Lethal after the match. But still, it was just one of those matches where you respected what they did. But, it's just a continuation. Really, that's the only thing you can say, right? I mean, there's really no finality here, so there's really not a bunch to talk about besides the fact that I think both guys put some good work in here, and everything they did kind of made sense to me.
Yeah, it's a really intense match, too. These guys really sell the feud well throughout the match, so that's something to take away from this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we have the ROH six-man tag team titles on the line. The Briscoes and Bully Ray defend against Dalton Castle and the Boys. Of course, Jay Briscoe has been eagerly awaiting his chance to get his hands on the Boys so he can murder him for everything they've cost him as far as, him losing one match, which I think Mark Briscoe and Bully Ray do a dynamite job of selling everything, of trying to keep him calm and trying to, it's just one match and all this other stuff. And, Jay Briscoe does bring up the solid, like he was undefeated for 2 years. He's been that guy for Ring of Honor where he just doesn't lose that often. So it really bothers him. And especially because the Boys cost it for him, makes it even worse. And that rage ends up costing him as he ends up chasing the Boys off. And Bully Ray has to go out and try to refocus him, and that leaves Mark Briscoe alone in the ring, and Dalton Castle rolls him up. And we have new six-man tag team champions in Dalton Castle and the Boys.
Yeah, kind of a reward for Dalton Castle for sticking around with Ring of Honor. And that's fine. And honestly, that's something they've been talking about for a while now is, Dalton Castle and the Boys holding those three-man titles, and I'm really happy for them. This is a good, accomplishment, and we'll see where this takes them. I also love the story here because of the fact now that you've had this great tag team of the Briscoes and Bully Ray. Now it seems like that could go downhill a little bit here. You can see some dissension, especially with Bully Ray saying, look, you lost the focus. You screwed us over. Now we no longer are the champions because you were focused on what you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I could see that tension building between Jay Briscoe and Bully Ray, which I think is a great matchup, and I think I'm excited about that. So, I mean, overall, I think they told a really good story in the ring and everything that they did, and just thrilled for the Boys and Dalton Castle.
I'm really excited for them too. It's a platform that allows you to use the Boys more often as far as a wrestling role goes, so they can slowly show off that maybe they are learning how to wrestle under Dalton's tutelage, even though they are quite talented already. And this does a lot for the Briscoes and Bully Ray, who I won't say their run together was getting stale because I don't think it was, but maybe it was better to do this now. And you have all this tension and a new story to go with those guys, which you already mentioned as something to really look forward to. And that's why you want to watch this match. The storytelling Jay Briscoe does in this is very good. Plus, Bully Ray does a dance number, which is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, he said Dalton got served.
Yeah, absolutely.
and the last thing I'll say is the reason I'm really looking forward to Bully Ray versus Jay Briscoe. I mean, I'm sure Mark will be involved somehow, some way, but it's really about Jay Briscoe. What I love about it is both those guys are so intense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just their presentation is just really in your face, really angry, and I just can't wait till they start bumping heads. It's going to be a blast to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if they get the opportunity to go out there and do something crazy, they're going to do it. So that's absolutely something to look forward to. And then we get to our not co-main event, but a terrific match in its own right, as the ROH TV title's on the line, as Kushida defends against Marty Scurll. Way better than their TV match. This was awesome. A real big shot in the arm too, because that pay-per-view they had a lot of good, they hadn't had a great, and then here these guys come with a great, and Kushida retains with a second rope Back to the Future, which looks all kinds of awesome, and then hits it again in the ring to put a murder death kill on Marty Scurll to make sure he retains. I love this match. Marty Scurll dominates a lot of it this go around. Kushida fights from underneath, which is what he's awesome at, and just retains that title and makes me incredibly happy because I was the only one thinking he was going to retain in the preview.
Yeah, you were, and I just kind of thought to me, well, honestly, I thought Marty was going to get it because I just thought they're really going to send this title over to Japan and kind of hang out over there. I mean, is that really their goal here? And, maybe for a little while that's good, and hey, it gets a Ring of Honor discussions going over there in New Japan while Kushida holds it, right? So, quality match. I mean, I honestly expected a match like this out of these two guys. They never really let you down, and that's exciting. I mean, once again, I think Marty Scurll gave you those teases that he was going to win. And I also want to say I love Kushida and breaking the fingers stuff too.
Yeah.
Because we don't usually get an opportunity to see someone facing Scurll and breaking the fingers. So I appreciate that little touch to it. It was a special match, and I think it was one of the bigger highlights of this show. Really thrilled with it. And, Kushida retaining, it was a surprise, but I was happy.
Yeah, and I'm really excited too. With it being G1 season, obviously the junior heavyweights are a bit de-emphasized. Maybe Kushida can be over in Ring of Honor more often for the next month and a half or so. And, if when he does defend that championship, it's going to feel like a really big deal. Just hopefully he can do it a bit more than Ishii could, is all I'm asking for. So,
yeah, please.
Really looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We then get some highlights of the Women of Honor match that was taped before, as Chris Wolf and Sumi Sakai took on Deonna Purrazzo and Mandy Leon, which looked like it was a fun affair. And then we get to our co-main event. The ROH Tag Team titles are on the line as the Young Bucks are going to defend against War Machine. But wait, here comes Trent and Chucky T, the best friends, who remind the Bucks that they beat them out in Philly on TV last week, and they won in on the match. Everybody in the match agrees, and it's a tornado tag. And it's just 12 and a half minutes of dives and crazy spots. And it's just so much fun. This entire match is fun. The Young Bucks do retain after a double indie taker, and this is just like page one Young Bucks stuff, right? Like this is right in their wheelhouse, and everybody else played along to perfection.
Now, what do I always say about Young Buck matches, right? The one thing I always say is when you get one, you have that feeling that you just cashed your check. And that's what you feel like when you watch these matches because they do a great job. And not only that, they've been really honestly matched up pretty well with some other great tag teams, and I think the addition of the best friends, it worked. And I don't know that it was exactly needed to have a great match, but it definitely was a lot of fun throwing those guys in here, and it did add something to the match. So lots of great spots, lots of fun stuff, and I was okay with it. I think everything ended up the way it really needed to be. The Young Bucks being successful, it makes sense. It was funny to me though, is when you're talking about psychology or you're thinking about common sense, maybe it's not such a good idea to go ahead and cash in your opportunity for a title shot, especially when you have War Machine involved. I don't know that I would want to do that personally, but hey, it's their title shot. So.
Mm-hmm. And War Machine just likes beat people up too, so more bodies to throw around.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I definitely know, Paul. If we were in a match like this, I would be like, no, let's don't catch it. War Machine's in this one. Let's wait.
Yeah, well, we'll wait. Yeah. And then we get to the main event. ROH heavyweight title on the line. Christopher Daniels defends against Cody. You have them going pretty hot and heavy for a while. You have Marty Scurll come out to do a little bit of interference, and then Frankie Kazarian comes out to run him off, which kind of screws up the flow a little bit. And then Cody and Daniels keep going. Cody even hits a Rainmaker to sort of rub it in on Okada that he's coming for him. And both men end up going through a table after a little bit, and they just keep battling until finally Cody spits a bunch of water in Daniels' face, hits a crossroads. Daniels, however, kicks out, and Rhodes ends up avoiding the best moonsault ever, hits another one, and that is all she wrote. Cody is your new ROH World Champion. Maybe the worst kept secret about this show, but it was still awesome all the same.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I will say the beginning of the match and the end of the match were a lot more exciting than some of the middle. Like you just mentioned, some of the middle did involve some outside interference, kind of distractions in this match. But not only that, it's somewhere in the middle. It kind of got a little iffy, a little weird at times for me. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think when you end strong, it makes it a lot better. And I think they did a great job of ending strong with the false finishes and everything that they did with that. I think also, when you see something coming a mile away, you want to judge it, and you want to judge it the entire time. And I think for the most part, they did put on a good match. It wasn't exactly crisp. It wasn't exactly the match that I wanted to see them have. But then again, I get it. I know why they're doing this, because it plays all into what Cody is. If they were just to have a straight up, 5-star Meltzer match or, whatever, that's not playing to what Cody does. Cody's not all about that exactly. He'll have good matches with you, but that's not his style. Right. And this was more to his style, more to what he likes to do. I appreciated that. Hey, great job, Christopher Daniels, and, I really enjoyed his run as champ. Now let's see what we got here with Cody.
Yeah, I think to that point, because people bag on Cody for being Mr. 3 stars all the time, and one, what's so bad about having 3-star matches all the time? It's still really good. And two, Cody's a storyteller, I think, first and foremost. And that's something I think he tries to do in all of his matches that we've seen, at least here in Ring of Honor for sure, and certainly in his dalliances in New Japan so far. So I think that works to his credit as well. It doesn't always make for those 5-star matches that people are looking for all the time. And what a moment, too, with Kerry Silken holding Cody the belt. Where he kind of mocks Kerry a little bit, but he sort of breaks down a little bit, and I think you can tell that this title win really meant a lot to him. Like, almost, I don't want to say like the Indies were accepting him, but certainly that like this was a big benchmark for him.
Mm-hmm. This is something I'm sure he was really looking forward to doing, and like you said, it's a great benchmark. It's a great addition to his resume in the world of wrestling, and that's great for him, and it's super special. And it also shows his respect for Ring of Honor. And a lot of the guys that are involved in that company, and know how much he respects the guys over there in New Japan, too. So I'm really happy for Cody.
Yeah, he wants to be here, which is paramount, and it looks like he wants to do very well by this promotion, which is also important. And it made headlines all across social media. A lot of WWE wrestlers took notice. Brian Danielson called him out, Daniel Bryan. Said that if you're still champion in 400 and something days, I might have to come after you for that belt, which got the internet all salivating, and a lot of other people chimed into. Dustin Rhodes, of course, congratulated his brother. It was really, really cool. And from that end, I would say that this title reign for Cody's already been a success, right? I mean, it's getting a lot of attention, even if a lot of people aren't talking about Ring of Honor in the show right now, just because New Japan's about to dominate headlines.
Mm-hmm. No, you're exactly right on this, and I really honestly haven't really been thinking about that, but that is excellent for Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is in syndication. Like anybody, for the most part, can catch Ring of Honor if they want to catch it. And if they, for some reason, don't have it in syndication in their area, they can go on the Fight app and watch it for free. Or they can go subscribe to Ring of Honor. So basically my point about this is, with a guy that has a big name like he does, and a guy that has been on WWE television for so long where people followed him, I think this is a really good move for Ring of Honor. I'm not saying they did this specifically just for that reason, but hey, it's not a bad way to get in good with the people that, remember him from other things.
Right. You're absolutely correct. I mean, Cody's a great wrestler, and he has a lot of great connections out there, but, he is a big name, and he's done a fantastic job of marketing himself since he's left the WWE, so him getting this title win is a win-win for Ring of Honor for sure, as well as it is for Cody.
Yeah. So,
but let's, it's TV taping time.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Flip Gordon opens the show taking on Jonathan Gresham. Flip gets in a lot. Gresham does end up tapping him out with the octopus stretch, and after the match, you have Alex Shelley come in and essentially offer to mentor Flip Gordon, and this was what I was talking about earlier, and that if you have new faces coming in, it's really easy to throw them in with Search and Destroy and sort of let them team up that way. Because, one, it creates a lot of different pairings, and two, as I said, they don't have a problem fighting each other. And it could make for some interesting stuff down the road.
That's great and all, but, I mean, what are they trying to do? Be like the babyface Bullet Club? Like, hey, come join our club. We're all we're all hanging out here, and this is great, but who really is going to face them? Like, really, who is going to be that evil version of Search and Destroy? They just killed the evil version. Mm-hmm. So I kind of think to myself, what's the point in having the group? I mean, this is not a motorcycle club. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's supposed to make sense, and maybe to an extent it does. I always just think you got to have that whole, good and evil. And they don't really have the evil right now. But, hey, I respect this, and I love this match for the reason that they had a reason to invite him, because they watched him take on a great wrestler in Gresham, and you got a chance to see this guy in action. He's young. He's got a lot of ability. You see why he's called Flip Gordon. And for them to say, hey, we want to train you, we want to teach you, we want to show you the things that you just don't know yet, that you can be even better. I like all that. And for me, it's a great way of saying, hey, we auditioned you. You made the cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's easy matchmaking, I think, for Ring of Honor down the line. If something good happens with Flip, you have some connections here to play off of already, and I think they're trying to play a longer game here with Search and Destroy, maybe. And you're right. I mean, they are kind of a good guy Bullet Club right now, but, the Bullet Club is very successful in Ring of Honor, and they're dominating the scene right now. So if they ever need to elevate some guys, you have a vehicle right here ready.
Yeah, true.
We get a video package replay of Jay White, essentially calling out Punishment Martinez. They're going to go one-on-one in the main event. We then get a video package for Josh the Goods Woods, who, of course, won the Top Prospect Tournament. We also see some stuff of Kushida winning the TV title off of Marty Scurll. And we get a promo from Josh at ringside who says he knows Kushida is away, but he doesn't want to rest on his laurels or sit on his hands. He wants to fight Jay Briscoe. Bro, if you wanted to have a funeral, we could have just buried you outside,
Yeah, that was my thought process. Is, man, you sure are, bucking up to the vets here already. Not good. I feel bad for you, son. But yeah, I mean, hey, you got to respect the fact that he had some balls, doing that. But oof, I don't know where really they're going with that. Maybe they just want to match him up against a big name and to see what he has to offer against a veteran. But I don't understand that to an extent also, because that's going to make him look pretty bad.
Well, I mean, with a lot of these guys challenging the vets in this role, example, Lio Rush, it worked. Right, Leo started butting up against a lot of the top guys. The TV champion at the time when he won was, of course, Tomohiro Ishii, who wasn't around. So he got a world title match against Jay Lethal, and that ended up skyrocketing his career in Ring of Honor because that match was so good. And maybe they're trying to go that same route here with Josh the Goods Woods, who I don't know if is that same charismatic caliber of Lio Rush. He's not a bad wrestler at all, but he still looks like a poor man's Matt Riddle to me, and I he still hasn't. He's yet to win me over. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and that's my thing too. Is it didn't take you long to fall in love with Lio Rush, right? I mean, he has that appeal about him. I mean, he's what you would call the sexy pick. That's what he is. I mean, he's that huge name that you're like, wow, he's not a huge name, but he feels like a huge name. Whereas Josh is more of that guy that you kind of look at and say, well, he's kind of the off-brand. I'll get it because it's kind of good. It's similar to what I kind of like. So that's my thing about it. I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe they have a plan for him. Maybe he makes Briscoe have a tough time of it to beat him, and that impresses us. Maybe that's their goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's what they're after is good matches and trying to get this guy over and let him win you over with the ring work, which is how it mostly works in Ring of Honor anyway. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then we get Bobby Fish taking on Silas Young because that's still a background feud going on with all the Jay Lethal stuff. Bobby has a lot of big fire on him throughout the way. There's a lot of back and forth. However, Silas manages to overcome and hits Misery on Bobby Fish to get the win. And then he sort of rubs it in Bobby's face after the match, and when he demands a handshake, he gets a shove instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think this works. I mean, especially for Silas Young, which I think that you can see they're really wanting Silas to be in I guess one of the top guys in this company right now. At least it seems that way. I mean, they have faced him up against some of the best that Ring of Honor has, and really made him come out smelling like a new man. He's not the same old Silas Young that would kind of win, lose, here, there. You know, he's doing really good. He's got some momentum going, and that's really positive. And, hey, especially with a guy like Bobby Fish, who's not long for Ring of Honor, it makes all sense in the world. So I was okay with this.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with this either, and you're right. Silas Young is another guy that they've started and stopped so many times. And at least this time it feels like he's on the threshold of finally breaking through and maybe getting one of those top spots with as we talk about so often, Ring of Honor's had a lot of talent upheaval. They're having guys leaving them, and they need to make new stars, and Silas might be one of those guys that gets to win out of this, which would be great because I love that guy. We get a quick advertisement that Adam Cole and Marty Scurll had a no DQ match that they filmed for their on-demand section at ringofhonorwrestling.com, which if you want to watch, you got to pay $2 for. So I'm sure it's a great match. It feels kind of like they're trying to cheapskate me out of $2.
Yeah. It's like the Loch Ness Monster wanted $1.50, right? So you're like, no Loch Ness Monster, you ain't getting $1.50.
Yeah, I ain't giving you no tree fitty.
Oh, it's tree fitty, right? It's tree.
Yeah,
there you go.
Tree
fitty.
Yeah. And then we get to the main event. Punishment Martinez takes on Jay White, which is this is a super fun match. It's well planned out. I think both guys get a lot in here, and White manages to surprise Martinez with a roll up to get the victory, which Punishment doesn't take too kindly to. He attacks him after the fall is counted, and they keep on brawling to the floor. And White ends up eating a last ride powerbomb through the timekeeper's table. It looks absolutely brutal, but I'm down for more of this. This match was really, really good.
It was, and you get a lot of just great action. You get a chance to see Jay White, really put it on Martinez. Let's be honest, really lately, we have not seen that happen to Martinez. He's been bulldozing every single person that's even stepped in front of him. And for him to, be on the defensive at times against White, that was really awesome. That was great. Of course, White took some punishment too. Let's be honest. He was thrown around quite a bit in this match. Martinez did not, miss anything. He was making sure he felt the pain. That was what was fun about this. You appreciate it. They had a great back and forth. With White being successful here, it makes sense for him because, he's overcome so much. They gave the great video package about his career, what he's had to do to be here. You feel good about that, but, kind of like what we've talked about basically in a lot of the matches we've talked about on this show, Martinez just with that after the match action, just really showing that, hey, this is not over. And not only that, I'm going to punish you for what happened.
Yeah, and another thing I think that's really apparent in this match, too, is as great as it was, they were still holding back a fair bit. You didn't get a lot of Martinez's diving spots. that he usually likes to do, and I don't think you got everything out of Jay White that you saw in that Will Ospreay match either. So we know there's going to be more of this down the road, and the matches are just going to get better, which is something that's infinitely appealing to me with both of these guys. So, but that's your Ring of Honor for the week, Gary. Just a great week of action.
Definitely. An excellent weekend for Ring of Honor, if you ask me. I wasn't exactly thrilled with some of the decisions, but still a great weekend for them. So there you go. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our show for the night. We've had a lot to talk about. And yes, we went a little longer than we'd like to usually on the show. We try to keep the show pretty precise, but we had some great content to talk about, not only Ring of Honor, but that New Japan stuff for the G1 Climax. It's just too good not to talk about in depth and really get into it. So there you go. Make sure you go check us out on all the other content we have to offer. Make sure you go check out W2Mnet.com, as well as check us out on 411mania.com. We also want to let you guys know, if you love the review shows, or maybe you don't know where to find our review shows for Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT, all that great stuff, make sure you go subscribe to Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network. Both will get you all those review shows, plus these episodes of Wrestling to the Max. And hey, make sure you don't forget, on Thursday, we'll be doing part 2. Of course, that'll be available Friday morning on the download for you guys. We'll be getting into a lot of great content there, lots more wrestling news, and just a ton of stuff, including some Lucha Underground. We got a double shot of Lucha Underground for you this week because we did not cover it this last week. So that's something to look forward to on Thursday. We hope you guys come and check us out for the rest of the great content this week. And, we're done. We will see you guys later on. Until then, I'm Gary Vaughan. He's Paul Leazar and Sean Garmer. If you're not living life to the max, Sean's not living life at all, apparently.
Sean isn't. But you know it. Hopefully he's
know
around to do the code.
Yeah, exactly.